In this video, let's explore the new Frequency2 plugin. There's been quite a bit of updates to this plugin, the biggest being the incorporation of dynamic EQing. Now, what this means is you can set thresholds for specific frequency areas or bands in your frequency on the plugin, and then when the audio hits that threshold, it's going to either gain up or gain down. So you've got that dynamic control of those specific areas in the frequency range. And you can use this in three ways: either to fix audio, to enhance audio, or you can even use the side chaining on it, actually up to 8 side chains. But I'll get to that in the next video. For this video, let's focus on those first two. So looking at fixing, I've got a vocal track over here, and I want to use the Frequency2 to act like a de-esser. So basically, it's going to look for those harsh sibilant frequencies, and it's going to duck down when the audio hits that frequency area. I'm just going to play back first the song so you can hear that it's quite a dense mix, and then you're going to see how we can fix and enhance areas in the mix.
Brought the wreckage and I brought it home, and I know it was for the future, for the wreckage to come.
So as you can hear, it's quite a dense mix. So let's work with this vocal first, using it sort of like a de-esser. I'll add an instance of frequency. So frequency is an 8-band parametric EQ. You can do your normal stuff like changing some of the bands and changing the type. For example, maybe on this first band, you want this to be a low cut, and you want to cut out some of those lower areas on the vocal to make space for the rest of the instruments in the mix.
Brought the wreckage and I brought it home.
But what I actually want to do is use this as a de-esser. I want to use a band and listen out for those high sibilance frequencies, and then I'll show you how to use the dynamic part of the EQ to pull those down when it hits those thresholds. So let's play back, increase this, maybe listen for the areas.
And I know it was for the future, for the wreckage to come.
Right about there, so I'll turn off that listening. And what I want to do is actually gain this down and increase that Q value. But I don't want this to be pulling down the frequency all the time in this area. So that's where the dynamic part of it comes in. You can click here to enable the dynamic section for that band. And then you can click on this single option here to see the dynamics parameters. Looks pretty much like a compressor. You've got a threshold, a ratio, attack, and release, and you can set the start time. So I'm going to play back now, and I'm going to tweak this threshold and watch how you see it sort of jumping about here as it hits that threshold and pulls down the audio at that frequency at that point.
Brought the wreckage and I brought it home,
Increase that ratio.
and I know it was for the future,
Before.
for the wreckage to come.
So it's taming those highs. What I could do, it has made the sound a bit duller, so I can take band 8 and I can change this to a high shelf and just push it up to get a bit of that sort of airiness in the vocal.
Yeah, brought the wreckage and I brought it home.
So that's one simple example, how you can use it to sort of fix some areas. You're notching out some EQ areas, but you're using the dynamic section to pull it down when it hits that sort of threshold of that area. Now let's look at how we can enhance things using frequency. For this, I'm going to go across to my drums group. So you can use this on single tracks, on group tracks, or even your sort of master bus. For the drums, I'm going to solo it back. Now the kick and snare are okay there, but I want to enhance those areas using a EQ. If I had to go into my inserts on this drums and just add an instance of frequency, maybe I want to boost the bass. Now that's boosting the bass area across all the drums. but I want it to only sort of enhance it when there's an instance or when it detects the kick. Or should I rather say where the kick sits in the frequency range. So what I'm going to do is enable the dynamics on that sort of boost over there on the low end, go across to the single area and adjust this dynamic section. I'm going to kick up the ratio and have a fast attack and a fast release. Maybe tweak that slightly. Yeah, let's set that faster. So here's before. Can't really hear that kick. But you can see as it picks up that low area, maybe I can move it down a bit more. As you can see, there's that bump over there. And also for the snare, let's do the same thing. Where's that snare? Also on that, enable the dynamics. Maybe a bit higher. So this is enhancing the kick and the snare on a bus folder group. So I'm not going into the kick and snare. This is just an EQ that's strapped across the drums. But by using this dynamic EQ, you're enhancing just those elements of the instrument. This is it before. And now after. I can even push that bass even higher. Really works well. So can you now see that sort of dynamic control that you have over the EQ? Now, in the next video, let's take a look at how we can use the side chaining part of this plugin, and more importantly, how you can use multiple side chains for one instrument. I'll catch you in the next video.